Hi guys, I'm Danny, and I started a Sunday gym because I've noticed lately that people tend to go to colleges and universities without actually knowing why they're there. And afterwards, starting jobs that are unfulfilling. So I'm interviewing different professionals to see what they have to say and share their knowledge and experience with you. I hope you enjoy it. Right on, Jasmine, thanks for being with me. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
All is well, thank you. The program will be focused on three main questions. What do you do for a living? How did you get there? How did you knew this was the way to go? So, that's what you do for a living, please.
All right. So what I do for a living is I do I would call it a unique version of holistic healing because I use a practice of divination. So that falls under a lot of different things, but I use these types of divination, which is tarot, pendulum, numerology, palm reading, and something I created called induced death communication. I use those tools to help people heal. And so I put it under the word divination because there's like anything that is kind of mystical per se falls under that, right? So I say divination, I do the certain readings, and I do them for the reasoning of helping people. So everybody always has a question they need answers for. And I'm there to be able to facilitate that. And I also teach it to people who want to learn. And the grief aspect is a huge one that I work with due to the fact that I've suffered a lot of grief, and that is why I created that said method. Um, so I've gone to college a lot. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
say
going to go there with the college, but before that, were you like walking the streets one day and you were like, let me help people with the mystical stuff? Or, how did you
no.
get
So
there?
that's what I'll get to. So I was going to college and never finding like that's what I wanted to do, right? But I'd always done readings as just something as a hobby or an interest, something I was drawn to. And I went through a hard time, and I realized this is where I realized the part of, well, I have tools I can use to help people because it helped me through it. I would like to be able to help other people. I've always liked helping people, and people have always come up to me randomly for advice. I don't know why. So I kind of used that happening to me alongside the interest that I had in it, and not finding any like work that I like college wise that I liked. So I decided after this hardship that I would like to use what I know how to do to help people with the things that they need help with, I guess you could say. So that's where I got to that, I guess.
You did mention college, and that's actually my third question, and pretty much the main reason I started this whole thing. Pretty sure you've noticed that people tend to go to colleges, universities, they pretty much get the first thing they can. And not all, but most are getting a
Mm-hmm.
degree that isn't really needed or required, and they can't really use it because they're made for something completely different. And it's not really about the money. I mean, it's not about the money for me because I'm from Europe, although from what I'm hearing, guys in the United States, I don't like that. But
Oh,
uh,
I'm in Canada, so it's even worse.
I've said this before, because I went to college and I went to university. I knew what I was going to do when I was 15 or 16. So I graduated a private college. I don't remember how much it was, but I was working as a bartender and I paid the whole thing myself. And my master's degree was from Denmark, so it was free. Like I just had to pay for an
Yeah.
accommodation and work there. But most people in the US, from what I heard, don't really have those options very often. But
No.
my main issue was the time that is being lost, and because I've lost money. Don't get me wrong, I have. I'm pretty sure you have lost money somewhere here. So we all do that. It happens to all of us. But you basically have 23, 4, 5 years old, young adults, because those aren't children anymore. Let's not kid ourselves. And they're miserable. You spend 5, 6 years of your life on something you don't need, and now you're bitter. Now you can be bitter on your own all you want, but in that age specifically, people tend to get married and you have children. You can't you can be miserable and hide it, but you can't do it forever. It's not gonna happen. The greatest actors this world has ever done weren't able to. How many more examples do we need? Come on.
And I just know from my own experience, I 100% agree with that.
And that's why I love having you here and talking to you about it, because how did you knew that this was the way to go? Because you said that this was a hobby. Now you can have a lot of
Also,
hobbies, but you went with this one as a career. You're an adult. You're a smart woman. You know what you're doing. So, but you could have done any number of things. Why this one?
this one was something I have been drawn to since I was a kid. So this was something that I've always been drawn to. I would even get in trouble at school for reading books about it under the table, hiding, and they would come and take it away from me and
Oh,
stuff
okay.
like that. So it's been like a huge interest of mine. So from the college aspect, I always went back into bartending and serving and being a manager in restaurant industry because it is quick money.
Yeah.
But when you have kids, you can't work the late hours, right? So I kind of had to leave that industry, which I do. I like that industry, I would say, opposed to anything that I went to school for, obviously, because like you said, you can't always find the job here, at least. Like there's so everybody basically goes back to serving and bartending and working their way up in the hospitality industry a lot of the time, and they have master's degrees, and you're like, oh my gosh, I only have like a couple college diplomas. You went to school for half your adult life and you're still working here. And in the miserableness does become of you and it takes over because it's not something you're happy
Yeah.
doing. And so I genuinely find happiness in what I do. I also, like I said, have been drawn to it for such a long time that that's why I went with that specifically. And it's something that I know how to do well. So it's not like I have to do new training in something or learn the business of it and all that kind of stuff, right? So it was um I felt like I wanted to help people. I felt like it was the right time to go about doing it. And so I used what I know and what I can do to do that. And I feel like a lot of people, like therapists and stuff like that, I'm basically a non licensed therapist. And people feel much more comfortable talking to me than they do a therapist because they're robotic, where I
Yeah.
will share my life with you because I don't have any legalities to say that I can't say anything, right? So a lot of the times I create big friendships with these people because we will be able to talk in depth about really serious things in their lives. And I help them try to move forward with those things. But I also share my experience so that they don't feel uncomfortable or judged or anything like that. And I bring it down to a real like human level, opposed to when you go to therapy or anything like that, where it's not always like that and you kind of feel uncomfortable, I guess, because they have to put up a wall, right? Where I don't have to put up the wall. So I see it as a way of helping people in my own skill set, I suppose, without having, and I don't per se like counselors. So I don't know. I guess that's why I like doing it this way, right?
No, I understand completely. I'm pretty sure I talked about it somewhere. I don't even remember where, but yeah, you know those automated cashiers, when you just do it yourself. They don't really, I mean, we have them, but almost no one is using it because the human contact is very important. Like you can't really skip it. Yeah, some humans are very annoying. I don't have to convince you about that. I'm pretty sure you know that. But you know that feeling when you walk in there, you just, hey, how you doing? How's your day? How's family? Because you know it's a neighborhood thing, and you really can't replace it with a machine. Most therapists, I know some that are real good, right? Like really good. And they're like you, they're trying to establish that human relationship with the patient or with the other one.
Mm.
But most of them, the huge majority, are like working with a template, and it's absurd. That's not a serious thing. And and it, you know, you can see the results. And you mentioned bartending. Yeah, it's like good money and it's easy money. But the thing is, and it was like that when I was a student in Southern Europe. Uh, Almost everybody that are studying economics and finance were pretty much obligated to work, even if you have night shifts. Uh, the professors were okay with you not being, you know, in the lectures as long as you work.
Hmm.
Because that way, I mean, you're studying finance economics, you have to understand taxes and so
Yeah.
on and so forth. And they actually took it from their free time to run around and check us. So, you know, we had colleagues that were working in, you know, zoo or stuff like that. I mean, I was most visited because I was a bartender, but you know,
Yeah.
it's very important. That human connection. Uh, I had a guest here a couple of weeks ago, and I told him I'm not worried one bit about AI. Yes, some jobs may disappear, but you can never replace it because it's within our nature. You can fight nature as much as you want to. I would love seeing it, laughing at you doing it because you're not going to succeed. And it's just within us. We can't fight it. Doesn't matter if we like it or don't like it. Nobody's asking us if we like it or don't like it. It's part of us, and it always will be.
They see AI as a way of like making things less expensive for them, like the big corporations. But I totally agree with you upon that. The thing is, nobody can tell your story, right? And AI can like because I see a lot of them saying, "Oh, write a book in a day with AI," right? So that I'm using this example of nobody can tell your story the way you can. So to try to use AI and tell your like life story in a day isn't going to get the results that if you put the actual work, wrote a book in a year and actually expressed yourself, which one's going to sound better? Obviously, the one that comes from you, not the one that was written in a day, right? So I totally agree with what you're saying. They can't really take the humanness out of us. We do still need contact. We still talk to our neighbors. We still have relationships with them and things like that. It's not like, and even when you went talking about the grocery stores, my ex actually was a manager of a grocery store and fought them so hard to not put the machines in his grocery store because he agreed the same thing. Like nobody uses them. Everybody still goes to the till because then they're putting their hand up, asking a question for school if they're having an issue. Like people don't want to do that. They want like just be able to ask you right there. Same thing with coupons, all that kind of stuff. Like it's they try to save money by doing these things, but it's never going to really take over. I don't think either.
No, and I have the proof actually. You know those iconic phone booths in London, right? The red ones?
Yeah, yeah.
You know the story behind them?
No, actually don't.
Well, when they were installed, the mail syndicate decided to trash the whole thing. And back then there were like 15, 20 of them in the very beginning. Now, the mailman broke them because they were afraid that they'll be out of a job if everybody's using a phone. I've never been to Britain, but if I go over there, I can get a job at the post office pretty easily. Won't be a very
Mm-hmm.
well paid one, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do it. And that was 160 something years ago, 50 or probably something like that. Now, obviously the means of communication have increased since then. There's still mailmen. If you want to, you can be one. So you just can't do it. There are those absurd professions. that really rely on something, yeah, those will disappear because they were never really needed to begin with. But that's a
Mhm.
normal part of life. My father used to tell me about his father because my grandfather died 2 years before I was born. And he told my father, study what you want, do what you want, but learn how to fix a TV. Because if you learn how to fix it, you will always have a job. When was the last time you fixed a TV, Jasmine? I've never done that. If it's not working, I'm throwing it out and buying a new one.
My dad taught me frugality. When my mother left us, we were very poor at the time. Even though my dad had a really good job, he worked in heating and cooling, so he fixed furnaces and air conditioners and all that kind of stuff, right?
Oh,
So
God.
he knew how to fix everything, and he had the tools in his truck. So he was very frugal. My grandfather was went through the Great Depression and World War II, and so he had that ingrained in him as well. So he taught that to my dad, which my dad taught to me. So we're very frugal people. We don't really throw something out. We will try to
Yeah.
fix it. And even if it's not looking the greatest, we'll still use it till it dies.
No,
Like
I'm not.
it's
Yeah, of
just
course. I
the
mean,
way
I'm
my
a
dad
homeowner
taught
and
me
I
things,
learn how to
right?
fix it myself, but I was talking about the TV specifically.
Yeah, well, I know I have fixed the TV before. That's what I mean, right? Because my
Very
dad
good.
is was such a frugal person. It was, we're not throwing it out. We're gonna fix it because it's not like unless the screen was smashed,
Yeah.
then we would throw it out, right? But if the screen's not smashed, then there's something electrically you can do to fix it, right?
Were those the old big TVs?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about those.
I don't know how to fix I don't know how to fix a smart TV, I guess
Yeah.
you could say, but I know how to fix a big block one.
It's been over 20 some years since the last time I've seen a big one, but I was
Me
talking about those
too.
flat things.
Yeah, I guess you know what, I would agree with you that we usually do get a new one because um they are just very complicated. I will
Yeah.
say I'm not the best with technology in that regard. And we do, although, as I said, with the frugality part, is my son threw something at the TV and there's a mark right in the middle, and I still use the TV even because you can still see there's just a little white mark.
No, in that regard, I'm absolutely the same. I'm a homeowner. I own multiple apartments because I really hate the concept of a house. Like there's always something to do in a house and
Mm,
almost nothing ever to do in an apartment. And I'm a lazy man. So I'd rather have an apartment. But when I bought them, I really had to learn how to fix everything over there because I'm renting and it will cost an arm and a leg if I gotta call someone to do it. It has to be me. And also, when it's me, no home is perfect. The Buckingham Palace isn't perfect. And when you do it yourself, you know where the problems are. So when somebody calls you, you kind of already know where it is going.
well, the house that like the last house I sold had two apartments in it, and the house was over 100 years old, so it really needed a lot of electrical work and probably some other work that I couldn't see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I ended up selling it because I knew it would actually cost me more to fix these apartments
Yeah.
up than to keep the property, right? So I ended up selling it and moving into just a regular, smaller house that's big enough for me and the kids. And then, um, but I know
Huh.
what you mean in every little thing because I'm kind of lazy too, right? So every little thing I know that needs to be fixed, I'll look at it and be like, I need to fix that and then not do
I
it.
know. A friend of mine got an inheritance this year, and it was a pretty good apartment, pretty big one, very sunny. And he said, "Listen, I want your advice as I want to rent it, but nobody wants to live there because it's a horrible place." All
Sounds
right,
kind
well, we can patch it up a little bit. When was the last time someone did some work in that apartment? So, well, in 1952 when they made the building. and
That was
everything
very
in
true.
there is original. I like just sell it. Just sell the whole thing. It will be crazy expensive if you try something. That kind of a thing, you're gonna have to tear the whole thing down and build it anew.
Well,
Not
I
to
sold it.
back then, it wasn't even practical. It was practical back then, but now, it just isn't like that anymore.
Well, I sold it to a person who flips houses for a living, right? So
Oh,
the
okay.
person basically did gut the house and now made it into one big house instead of
Yeah,
three apartments and gutted it and it looks nice and beautiful now, but he wasn't anticipating how much it was going to cost him to do this. And I ended up walking out. He didn't make much off the sale like he thought he was going to. So I ended up walking out with more money than he did. And he wasn't very happy about that. But I mean, I let him come in and see the house and
yeah,
look
of course.
around and everything else. But he just really, I think, thought that he, like you said, you can do it. But I think he thought because he knows how to flip a house, thought it would be cheaper to do it himself. And it didn't end up cheaper. He had to bring people in and
Yeah,
like with the electrical and everything. And it ended up costing him so much money. My old neighbor told me, so I kind of know that, right? But I like that I see was same with him, right? Like you don't want to sit there and be paying more money than you're making. It's not worth it. And the headache of dealing with people in the place and the
yeah,
complaints, all of that, right? So it's easier just to sell it, buy something else, and with whatever's left over, use to furnish your house or go on a trip or do whatever you want, right?
absolutely. Jasmine, I have a fourth question, and I never put it in the invitation. Although, if you watched any of the episodes, you kind of already know what it is. If you have one advice for my audience are pretty much people that are sitting here wondering, is this study for me? Is this particular college for me? Is this job for me? If you can give those people one advice, what will it be?
Mine would be, first of all, I wasn't thinking of this when I was younger. Make sure it's something that is can make you money and you can live off of in the future. Don't go for something that you think you like or will be fun. Go for something that is going to make you money and further you down the line, make you even more money. Just be in tune with knowing that, be practical and logical, and realize that taking a course on being a party planner is not as good of a choice as taking a course to be a chartered accountant. The separation, right? So think about what is going to make you money and support you and your family in the future, opposed to what you think might be fun or interesting, right? Just be as logical as possible about your financial future, would be my advice.
You are one of the most practical women I have ever had the pleasure to talk to. Hands
I've
down.
been
Say
oh,
again?
I said I've been through a lot with the like financial aspects because when my mom left, like I said, she left us with nothing. So we had to build back up. So I've learned through that how to be logical and not impulsive, right?
No, no,
I'm very
I was the opposite because I grew up both parents in my home. My parents had 38 years of marriage. My father died recently. And I remember because I've never really struggled when I was a kid. I pretty much had everything I wanted. And there was one time when I said that, we shouldn't really worry about, I don't even remember because it was a long, long time ago, almost 30 years ago. I said, well, I mean, what was the worry? I mean, we're doing pretty well. And my father said, nah, me and your mother were doing pretty well. You don't have any money. You broke. No, that okay, yeah. That
my,
makes sense.
my parents were together as well until I was 19, right? So it was going from being relatively affluent like to being completely broke. It was that
Yeah.
going from my parents giving me $1,000 for Christmas to be having nothing. Do you know what I mean? So it was that flip that I really had to learn quickly how to be logical and smart
Yeah.
financially. Otherwise, we weren't going to make it, right? So I stayed with my dad and I helped him rebuild up until he passed away, right?
And that builds character. That explains why you're so tremendously practical. And with that said, Jasmine, thanks for being with me. It was an absolute pleasure. And don't forget to send me all the links, contacts, Facebook, and something like and stuff like that. I'm gonna put them in the description.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that so much.
Likewise. Guys, I hope this one was useful. Please follow the channel on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Gap, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Ring the bell and all the good stuff. Have a nice week ahead, and I'll see you next Sunday.